Yo, what's up guys, and welcome back for my battle number 4 for Smogon Superstars. We are still playing ORAS, and this is still round 1. Now, today I'm taking on Marshall.law. If you guys don't know who Marshall.law is, basically he's a pretty good DPP player, which is Gen 4 if you don't know what DPP means. But I'm using my Zygarde team that I built, and he seems to have some sort of offense. Now, when I look at his team and I look at mine, Kieran Black can be everything, but that's like the only Pokemon he has that gives my team trouble. Everything else is checked slash countered. Breloom is countered by Venusaur. This is Mega Gyarados, so it's checked by Venusaur. Skarmory can wall a potential SD Garchomp as well as Scarfrachi, so can Heatran. Zygarde actually can put some potential if Kyurem is gone, and Starmie is Pursuit Trap by T-Tar. So I decided that my best bet is leading off with Manaphy, just because if that is defensive Garchomp, I want to fire off some Scalds trying to burn it as quickly as possible. And it also matches up pretty well versus Starmie as well, which could be an issue for me switching into. So I decided to lead off with Manaphy, as he actually ends up leading off with his Breloom. Now I do have my Venusaur, which is an easy switch into this thing. So I'm going to switch out to my Venusaur as he ends up pulling back into his Garchomp. I don't really mind that. I guess you could say it was a bit risky just in case I fired off an Ice Beam, but I wasn't going to fire off Ice Beam anyway, even if I had it, just because most Breloom are Focus Sash. So there was no point in me doing that. So I go out to my Venusaur. I'm going to Mega Evolve as he sets up his rocks, and I'm just going to go right for the Giga Drain. Now I am defensive Venusaur, and that does a decent amount of damage considering he is a Garchomp. So I'm thinking he's more of an offensive variant of Garchomp. And he actually sets up an SD and decides to pull a switch back out into Kieran Black, which leads me to believe that he actually, well, obviously because we saw Swords Dance and we saw Stealth Rock, we know that he's more than likely just running Dual Stab, which is a ground move and a Dragon move. So I just decided to fire off a Giga Drain anyway, just to see how much he would do if he decided to go for Earthquake. But he ended up going out to his Kieran Black. I definitely cannot stay in, so I'm actually going to go out into my Tyranitar, which is my main check to Kieran Black, as he predicts that very nicely and pulls a double out into Jirachi, not wanting to give me any momentum. So he's going to go for U-turn, as I decided to go out to Skarmory. Skarmory was my best play because it can get up a spike versus the majority of his team, whatever he wanted to U-turn out into. And the problem with Heatran was that it gave Pokemon like Garchomp and Starmie a free hit. Starmie being the scarier Pokemon, I would think. But he ends up turning out into his Kyurem, which I don't mind too much. There's a few plays I could do here. I could stay in, go for an Iron Head or a Spike, knowing that I can live any hit. I am Spadef Scarm, so I could take a Fusion Bolt and even an Ice Beam. However, I don't know what type of Kyurem he is. I don't know if he's Life Orb or anything, and that will hurt like hell. So I'm going to pull the switch out into my Tyranitar as he goes right for Fusion Bolt. And because he had been aggressive, I'm actually going to take what I learned from my battle versus Amir, or High Impulse. If you guys didn't watch that, basically he made a bunch of aggressive plays that threw me off really early, and I lost. So in this game, I actually take that into account. So I go for Stone Edge because I am Scarftar as he goes out into Garchomp. Because he already knows that I have Skarmory to go out into, I actually go for Stone Edge again, predicting him to want to double out into either Kyurem, Starmie, or anything, as he actually ends up going out to Breloom. And again, because he knows that I have Venusaur, which is like my only and best switch into Breloom. Also, Skarmory could take it on, but there's no way he'd go for Spore. Obviously, Venusaur would not be hurt by Spore, or not affected by Spore, because it is a Grass type. You can't Spore Grass types in this gen. So I decide to make an extremely aggressive play and predict his Kyurem to come in. So I'm going to go for Stone Edge as he actually ends up bringing out his Kyurem. And of course I missed the Stone Edge. Sorry, I was a little bit ahead. I wanted to build up the hype for then. You know, I missed Stone Edge, which is actually pretty fitting considering I'm playing Marshall.law and he's a DPP player. And if you guys don't know anything about Stone Edge in Diamond and Pearl, it either misses or crits. That's it. That's all it does. There's no in between. But I missed Kieran Black upon switching. That would have been a dead Kieran Black. And like I was saying earlier, he had no way of killing anything on my team. With Kieran Black being dead, Venusaur walled the majority of his team. Heatran plus Skarm walled Jirachi. Venusaur could take on Gyarados. Same thing with Zygarde if he doesn't have Ice Fang. Same thing with Manaphy. And I would have been in a great position. Unfortunately, I did miss upon switching. And that really sucks. Of course, he's not going to, let me hit him now because he knows I predicted him. So he pulls the switch on to Jirachi, which I also missed Stone Edge versus, which could have came into play because it would have done a bit of damage that I needed, and I'll explain why later. But I'm going to go out into my Heatran as he goes right for U-turn. And unfortunately, I'm in a position where I cannot switch out versus this Kyurem. If he goes for Earth Power, I believe my Tyranitar dies after Rocks, which it should. I have nothing else I can go into. I know my Venusaur does a thick fat, but he does have Terra Volt, which is like Mold Breaker, so it breaks through that, and Ice Beam would OHKO it. And had Kyurem Black, had I connected with Stone Edge on Kyurem Black, it would have been gone, but it's okay. I still see a way that I can win this game, so gonna sack my Heat Ran right here. Earth Power actually takes me out. I am a bulky Heat Ran, but I don't have any Spadef, but I'm able to go out into my Tyranitar right now, and once again, just going to fire off a Stone Edge. I can't risk going for Crunch, because if Garchomp comes in and I Crunch it, or even Superpower it, I will be taking the Rough Skin damage, so I'm actually going to pull a double right here into my Skarmory, predicting him to save his Garchomp and to go out into his Jirachi, as it actually ends up working out for me, and now I get some momentum. I lost my Stealth Rocker when Heat Ran, which I shouldn't have lost, but you know, it's Pokemon, but I'm able to get up a Spike right now, as he is going to go out to his Kyurem, and I know that Skarmory can take one Fusion Bolt from what I'm expecting to be an Assault Vest Kyurem. I think this is Assault Vest, or an Ice Beam because I am Spadef. So I'm actually going to stay in and go for the Iron Head, which is perfect because with the Sand, that's puts him 100% in range of a Crunch. So I'm actually going to sack my Skarmory right here. That way I can bring out my Tyranitar one more time, and expecting him to actually predict my Pursuit, I'm actually going to go for Crunch, as he does stay in predicting my Pursuit, and I'm able to knock out the Kyurem. So finally able to knock out the Kyurem after sacking half my team, as Jirachi is going to come out, and I'm going to go directly into my Zygarde right here. It's basically my only play versus Jirachi at this point, as he is going to U-turn out into his Starmie. Now, if his Starmie has Ice Beam, this is going to be hard for me, but I have no switch-ins to this thing. I don't want to risk switching in my Manaphy on an Analytic attack, so I decide to go for the Earthquake right here. As he doubles back into Garchomp, maybe expecting me to go Manaphy and trying to get some momentum with Breloom on the switch. Well, maybe he also doesn't have... Maybe he also doesn't have the Ice Beam, but either way, he's going to go out to his Gyarados and choose to Mega Evolve, which I'm fine with, because that means that my Venusaur's Giga Drain is now super effective, and I figured he would Dragon Dance, so I'm able to Dragon Tail him out into the Breloom, and it's time we make some plays. Now, he knows that I have Venusaur, so I do expect him to actually double, predicting me to go out to Venusaur. Either way, I knew I would also outspeed. Just because if my Manaphy outsped him, that means that my Zygarde would outspeed him, and I'm pretty sure he's Adamant Loom just because my Manaphy switched out before his Breloom. So in the case, I'm going to go for sub, as he ended up going to Jirachi's. U-turn is not going to break my sub, as I can now go for the Coil, and that raises the accuracy of my Dragon Tail, so it's not going to miss my Stone Edge, and also raises my defense so I can take him on. So right now, my best bet is just going right for Dragon Tail, as Waterfall is able to break my sub after the U-turn damage. I actually go for Earthquake first over Dragon Tail because I need prior damage on this Gyarados. That way I can beat it with Scald from Manaphy. So, might have been a misplay because he ends up going for the Waterfall. Obviously, it does less than 25%, which means that I could have gotten up a sub, which is what I tried to go for right here. But he flinches me twice in a row with Waterfall, as the next one is going to hit me. However, I am able to get up a sub now, which means I will be behind a sub, and if I phase him into anything that is not Breloom, I get a kill. So he's going to go for Crunch, as it's not able to break my sub, as I am able to phase him into unfortunately Breloom. And the reason I said I got a kill is because if Starmie came out, not only would it take the Life Orb plus the Spike damage, it would take an Earthquake. A neutral Earthquake at that, but it would still take an Earthquake, and unfortunately I phase him into Breloom. I still do have a chance to knock him out, depending on damage rolls, but I do not get the roll, as he is able to break my sub with multiple Bullet Seeds. Now, I don't want my Zygarde to go down to the Mach Punch just yet. I'm just going to save it as fodder, so I'm going to go out into my Venusaur right here, expecting him to go for the Mach Punch, as he does, and what I can do right now is either go for Giga Drain or Synthesis up. I decide to actually go for the Synthesis because I want to be at as much HP as possible to take on the Gyarados, as he ends up going out to Starmie. Now, again, going to make a bit of an aggressive play. I'm going to expect him not to go for Rapid Spinning, not to go for the Rapid Spin, but to actually go for like the Psychic or the Psy Shock. So I'm actually going to go out to my T-Tar, as that is the play he ends up making, which is pretty big, because this means that, one, my Spike is there to stay, and two, that Breloom dies to that Spike. So because I had been going for Crunch repeatedly, I kind of expect him to switch out now. Expecting my Crunch, not my Pursuit, which is why I went Pursuit. And what that meant was, because he did end up switching, I believe. I don't know if Pursuit would have killed from there, I didn't calculate. But the reason I wanted to go for Pursuit over Crunch is I didn't want him to sack his Breloom that turn. I didn't want Jirachi to be able to come in after sacking Breloom and go for U-turn and then bring Starmie back in. So able to kill the Starmie right there, as Jirachi is going to come out. And I think his only way of winning at this point is if he has Healing Wish on his Jirachi, is to go for it right now, bring back in Gyarados on my pursuit, and then try and Dragon Dance up, and then beat me with, Mold Breaker Gyarados, potentially having Ice Fang, freezing me. I don't think he has Ice Fang because he didn't go for it versus Zygarde. But he needs a couple of Dragon Dances to beat me. So if he has Healing Wish, this is the turn he would do it. But he ends up U-turning out into his Breloom as fodder, as he is going to be able to bring back in his Jirachi one more time. However, Jirachi has to go for like Iron Head or Zen Headbutt, so I'm going to sack my T-Tar to the Stealth Rock, that way I can get the switch to my Manaphy, and potentially win the game, because at this point, he does lock himself into Zen Headbutt. However, I am physically defensive Manaphy. Now, Manaphy takes like 20% from Zen Headbutt, so my game plan right now is to get up the rain. One, to make it that if I go for rest, I get back up to full due to hydration. And two, it just lets me beat Gyarados with Scald easily. Gyarados already dies to Scald. It just lets me beat Jirachi. However, I do have to go through the 40% chance to flinch me with Zen Headbutt. So he does not get the first flinch, as I am able to get up the rain, and now I'm going to be able to go for rest and break through these flinches one day or another. As you can see, I have a couple turns of rain left. I just need to get off a rest, that way I can be at full. He does crit flinch me right there, and because of that crit flinch, it's looking bad. I don't have 2 more tries, I only have 1 more try, and this is not a story that ends with a happy ending, because he is able to flinch my physically defensive Manaphy to death with the Zen Headbutt, and I have to hope that he misses like 2 Zen Headbutts versus my Venusaur. That way I can go for the HP Fire. I had to go for Synthesis there to be at a good amount of HP to take on Gyarados. However, obviously I'm breaking through on the turns that I go for Synthesis, but not on the turns that I ever attacked him. And I'm hoping for a miss as well, as he does flinch me right there. He's able to knock me out with the next Zen Headbutt, and to add salt to the wound, he actually misses the Zen Headbutt on my Zygarde at 4%, as I'm able to knock him out the Earthquake. Unfortunately, I don't have Dragon Dance. Obviously, I have Coil, and we already know that his Gyarados does outspeed me, so able to knock him out the Earthquake, but Gyarados is able to come in and knock me out with the Crunch, and that's going to be a good game. So right now, I am 1-3 in Smogon Superstars. This is the second game that I feel was stolen from me. Had I hit the Stone Edge, I'm not going to give excuses or anything. You know, it's Pokemon. It's part of the game. It's unfortunate, but nothing I can do about it. Had I hit Stone Edge on Kyurem, I 100% won. He had no way of breaking through my team. Of course, you know, that Zen Headbutt, that Waterfall flinching with Gyarados as well. Maybe it could have been a different story, but I would have gotten a Brock Heat Ran, because his only way of killing my team would have been gone had I landed that Stone Edge, and I still had the way to win. I still played it so I could win, and it was not in my favor, I guess. So Marshall.law is going to win. Good game, Marshall.law. Guys, I hope you all enjoyed. The next and last battle for Smogon Superstars will be going up tomorrow, and yeah, I am 1-3 right now. That's 3 losses, 1 win. Wow. But I hope you guys all enjoyed again, and yeah, later, guys.